Live. Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Flat Earth Podcast. I am your co-host for now, Matt Long, and with me as always is Dave from Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic. Finally, we're back.
I don't know about finally. I think this is just our normal pace. What do you think?
I think it's I want to basically blame all of this on you.
Sure, no problem. We could do that. I just think, Dave does about 3 or 4 interviews per every interview that I get to do with him on the Flat Earth Podcast. So I don't know how you can totally blame that on me.
I have been a little busy lately, and our paths have not crossed. But here we are, doing the best that we can do with the time we have allotted. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I think that's all people could ask.
All right, can we just get it before we start? Can we just have a personal question?
Sure.
So you and your clan had bought a RV to cruise around the world and
that's right.
and do your stuff. And on the voyage trip, you hit a deer.
Yes, the maiden voyage we did. We hit a deer. We were driving down from Grand Prairie, Alberta, which is pretty good far bit north in Alberta. And day 2, we wake up in Great Falls, Montana to head home, head down to Fort Worth, Texas, and hit a deer at about 4:30 in the morning, and proceeded to drive another 1,200 miles. But I was constantly filling up the coolant that was leaking out, and we made it all the way there. So,
but the van, the camper van or the RV is now totaled.
That is correct.
How
yes.
does hitting a deer total an entire RV?
Well, when your RV was birthed in the year 1995, I think it's fairly difficult to find replacement parts for it.
Ah, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Did insurance cover this?
It did, actually.
All right.
We're working through that right now. It's kind of like Trump's tax return. So I don't really want to talk about it until my lawyers say I can.
Okay. Well, all right. That's all fascinating. And when is your new Flat Earther due?
The new Flat Earther is due anytime. I mean, it's supposed to be the end of this month. Jess usually dominoes a week early, so it really could be any day now.
It's not like she has a track record or anything, a recent track record.
I mean, I don't. You got to think by number 4. You're,
number 4 in 3
idea.
Years.
4 in 3 years. No concubines here.
All right. Are you working on the second one yet? The next one.
Well, I did have a scare. I thought I had a hernia for a few days, and was thinking that if I had to get surgery, we might want to try for our next kid before I got the surgery, just in case something happened. You know?
Do realize you have to wait until this one is born.
I thought you could just sprinkle some more in there.
All right, let's get into some flat Earth stuff. Keep this PG rated.
Okay. I'm doing my best. I'm just answering questions here.
I got it.
Okay. What about you and Paige? You plan on having any more?
We are good. We have adult kids now. They're all aware that the Earth is flat. Paige's youngest daughter is studying abroad, and she was busy, but her roommate was able to intercept the Globe Lie Euro Tour bus and
nice
and say hello and show that the youth are awakening.
That's awesome. I tell you what's funny is I went down to Texas for a day to get the stuff out of the motorhome once we heard they were going to total it. And a buddy of mine that I have a small business with was having a presentation. I go to the presentation. It's a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while. This guy comes straight across the room, grabs me and says, "You got to tell me about flat Earth."
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so I said, look, we do not have time here to go into it, but you sound interested, so I want to do it justice. Here's a video, and then we'll talk about it. And
what video did you send him?
I actually sent him, Dean Odell has a good compilation with some Scrawny to Brawny stuff, with some Jaren stuff, with it's a good combination of video. It's about 2 hours long, and that's kind of what you need sometimes, especially if someone's eager to get some information. And he's a Christian. He has a biblical worldview, so I wanted to send him something kind of from that realm. And he watched it and sent me a text and said, "Okay, I've got questions about this, and this. Can we talk tonight?"
Perfect.
Yeah, it is perfect.
It's so fun to see new people, awakening when that switch goes off and they see it.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing better.
So he sends me a text. He's like, how could Satan have shown Jesus all the kingdoms of the world on a ball? And then he said, how could the sun have stood still for Joshua? And so
how could all of the stars fallen from the heavens fall into earth?
Absolutely.
Look at me quoting Bible verses.
Yeah, look at that. Amazing. So while I was telling him that, another girl who's in the business stands up and goes, "Hey, this guy's an editor for a paper in Arizona. He's interested in what you're talking about." So
she was just overhearing you?
Yeah, well, she knew what I was into. She must have been telling him, probably doing a bad job, telling him about it. And so she called me over, and then I ended up talking to this guy for 20 minutes and sent him the same video. And so that's wasn't intended. I was intending to talk business, but ended up talking about the thing I really only care about talking about. So
very nice. Love it.
Yeah.
There's more and more of this happening every day. Globe Earth is dead. It's over.
Yeah. I that's still a thing. Globe Earth.
It's so funny.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it is funny.
I think the people that fight for the globe, they're just trolling. They don't really believe it. I mean, because it's such utter nonsense.
Do you think some of them aren't even real people? They're just bots, don't you think?
Oh my God, the amount of bots that are in like the NASA live streams. I was watching the first women's spacewalk. There was thousands of people in there, and more than half of them were bots. And you can actually get into conversations with the bots, but then you ask them a weird question. You say, "Hey, by the way, what do you use to hang a picture on a wall in your home?" And they can't answer it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not saying that like people walking around outside are bots, though. That might be another show to talk about.
I might be saying that.
Yeah, I know. But what we're saying is that there's AI out there that is constantly trying to confuse the narrative about the true shape of the Earth and other things as well. But it's really bad in some of those NASA forums and things like that.
I noticed in the NASA forum, the chat was going so fast. I think there were so many flat earthers in there just typing Earth is flat, and there were so many flat earthers in there. I think the bots got confused and started picking up on flat Earth stuff and started recreating flat Earth content.
Well, you got to think the bots are logical, right? Ones and zeros. And so at some point there's going to be that tipping point where they realize, "Oh, wait, I've been fed a lie," right? And then they're going to come over to flat Earth. Yeah, and then since the bots control the social media, they're going to have the biggest channels, don't you think?
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it happen. So yes, I was talking to a lot of people at this business presentation, but you have been talking to a lot of people as well. You were on the SGT report. You were on Tripoli's podcast. You were on Infowars, for crying out loud.
By the way, I'm resting much easier now. I have spoken with Russian Vids since then, and I am not a shill, because he used to say anyone that gets on Alex Jones is a shill. When I got booked, the first person I messaged was him, going, "Hey, I guess hilarious. I'm a shill now." And he hadn't checked his Skype since he was in the process of moving. He moved somewhere else, and so we had a couple long talks in the last few days, and he's thrilled that I'm reaching these new audiences.
Well, I'd say just based on the amount of bad Asian dialect that Alex Jones tried to speak over you while you were talking, I would say you're not a shill.
And Eddie Bravo and Sam Tripoli had my back. They just kept telling Alex, "Shut up, let him talk." Yeah. So the amount of speaking time I got in between all of those boner pill commercials was more than I ever expected when I got asked to do the show. So
yeah.
It's
awesome.
fascinating how this stuff is lining up. I get tons of robot calls, sales calls, car warranty, and I never answer calls from unwanted numbers, right? Especially out of state, especially Texas, because there's so many robocalls coming out of Texas. For some reason, I get this unknown call from Texas, and for some reason, I answered it, right? And it's this Russian girl, Russian accent, and she's like, hey, and I was literally ready to hang up on her, and she's like, from Alex Jones' show, Infowars, we want to have you on. I'm like, what? Hello? And I was like, the fact that I answered that,
yeah.
What made me answer that call?
I know what made you answer
You do,
it.
huh?
I want to know what you think made you answer it. It's the same thing that just downloads you those videos sometimes.
Oh, dude, my latest video, the blimp one, that one came out of nowhere. It came
That's
out
what
of
I
nowhere.
want to talk about. Like I wanted to ask you, did you see that somewhere else, or is that all from inside your head and heart?
So let me tell you what happened. This is the space shuttle blimp, I called it. And this is not that new. Jaron and I have been talking about this for a couple years. We said we think that the balloons are blimps. I think it was actually Jaron that introduced me to the concept. And as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, holy crap, they are.
Right.
And he showed me over a year ago one of the SpaceX rocket blimps that exploded shortly after takeoff, and it just vanished. It pulverized. It blew up like a balloon would blow up with no significant debris. And I hadn't done anything with it. A while ago, I downloaded a couple space shuttle videos, and I was just like, and I just hadn't done anything with them. And then the other day I said, all right, I'm going to make this video. And I went in, I put it together probably inside of an hour, which is super fast.
Yep.
And while doing it, an afterthought, I noticed when the rocket boosters separated, you heard them separate at the exact time that they separated. I'm like, wait a minute. How far down range they are? And I couldn't get an accurate read because, this thing is supposedly accelerating, 200 miles per hour faster every 5 seconds. And it was closer to 30 to 35, 40 miles downstream, allegedly. But I said, okay, if it was 20 miles downstream, how long of a separation between what you see and what you hear? I looked up the calculation. I didn't believe it, so I did the calculation myself. Sound travels at like 0.2 miles per second. That's 5 seconds a mile. So if it was a mile away, 1 mile, it would be 5 seconds before you hear what you saw, right?
Right.
This was 20 miles downstream. That's a minute and a half. We see it without a split-second delay. And now the trolls will say, well, that's because the camera that was following it, nonsense, filmed it. But you can hear the people cheering in the stands. It's it's an edited movie.
Right.
It's utter nonsense.
Yeah, it's amazing. They even brought balloons for the party.
Once you see beyond the deception, you see the bounce. So in the video, I showed the bounce.
Oh man. Once you see the bounce, it is my view has been totally changed since I saw it. I've never heard that concept, and once I saw the bounce, I was like, oh my goodness.
There's also another video that Nathan Oakley sent me that he had looked at this a long time ago, and it's a rare shot of the top of the space shuttle right at ignition, and it wobbles to the left and wobbles to the right, kind of like a big balloon would wobble if you give it a little push on the bottom. Here's something to think about. 4.5 million pounds. What's it sitting on? Is it sitting on the fins? It's sitting on the engines. What's holding up 4.5 million pounds?
Brackets?
Yeah, well, the brackets let go before the ignition or right at the ignition. So the only baller argument that I can come up with is that it lets it go at the exact same time that the rockets have enough thrust, and that's what causes, utter nonsense. Those brackets, what brackets can hold 4.5 million pounds and then release it?
No brackets I own.
Yeah. So here's another thing. Think about this. The amount of thrust, have you ever used a power washer?
Yes.
Okay. How much pushback does that give you? A little bit, right?
Lot. Yeah,
a little bit. It's not lifting you off the ground, is it?
No.
Are you 4.5 million pounds?
I'm not.
I've used a power washer cleaning concrete, and there was a crack in the concrete. Guess what it did? It blew the concrete
Made
to
it worse.
pieces. It made holes. It just literally shredded the concrete. 4.5 million pounds of thrust before that thing is going to move up a millimeter, right? Surrounding those engines was a metal fence. What was that metal fence made out of? That thing would have just been melted, pulverized, blown to pieces. The concrete, if it had a crack in it or even if it didn't, would be shredded, right?
Do you think if it was the same steel that the Twin Towers were made out of, but maybe this steel is stronger?
Well, no, the Twin Towers. I don't know where you're going with that.
Because that steel melted below where normal steel is supposed to melt.
Well, then why didn't it melt if it was made from the same steel?
None
of it. It gets. The more you look at it, the worse it gets. The thing takes off like a blimp. It rolls over like a blimp. Somebody left a comment, and I pinned it. If you go, the video link will be in the description if you haven't seen it yet. They said that their father actually was a tugboat captain, and he was the one that tugged the barge in with the external fuel tank on, okay, the reusable external fuel tank. But he said when he got there, the tank was already on the barge. And
that's weird.
Yeah, already on the barge. And matter of fact, I remember during these, they used to show it being tugged back in. I was like, how did they get it on the barge? They never explained how it got on the barge. And his comment was, there's no marks on it. There's no dents on it. There's nothing. It was like pristine sitting on this barge.
Well, it just landed in the ocean, so it got cleaned.
Yeah, come on.
So Baller Dave would say.
Yeah, of course. And bringing in a innocent tugboat captain is genius because that's just another witness. Oh, it can't be fake. I pulled in the tank. But that whether, I have no proof that his story is true, but it lines up with all the evidence that we see. How did they stand the shuttle up? Did they ever show us the moving of the shuttle? Did they ever show us putting it in position? Of course not. I mean, there's a couple videos of it rolling along at a millimeter per hour. But the more you look at it, the bigger the deception is.
Yeah, that kind of brings to mind the fact that there's no videos of the ISS being built, right, or put together. It's the size of a football field, right?
Right. There are no videos, no photographs. It would be the most videoed event, so Mission Control can narrate what's going on. Did you watch the spacewalk? They were out there for an hour, and then they finally announced they've loosened a bolt.
Nice. Nice. Well,
that's what happens when you put women on the job.
My theory is kind of like a mud flood theory. If there's no videos of it being built, maybe it was always up there.
What, the space station?
Yeah.
The space station, I think, I have no proof other than what we see. What we see is a light brighter than any star out there. So the brightness, if you do the inverse square law of brightness, the thing is brighter than the sun. It makes absolutely no sense that it's reflecting sunlight. I think it's a luminary. When we see it cross the sky, I think it's a very close, fast-moving luminary that maybe showed up in the early 2000s or whenever they put the space station up there. A returning luminary.
Sure, and I agree that it's a luminary, and the reason I agree is because I can't even agree that maybe there's something up there because there's been so many NASA fails with harnesses and things like that, trying to pretend to be in zero G while on that thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything up there.
What do you think? What do you think about the sun and solar and lunar transits of it?
Oh yeah, so I was going to say that. I think that is something completely different. I think that is just another wizard trick that they use to prove us. Whenever it does a solar or lunar transit, you never see it approaching. You only see it transit, and they know exactly where it's going to be. So to me, I think they're just flying an aircraft up there, at a high altitude with no lights on, that is designed to appear to be, in the H shape of the space shuttle.
Right.
I mean, the space station. And they fly it and they say, hey, if you're in this area, you can see it transit the sun and moon. And it's just a trick. And, that's not the same thing we see when we see it go from horizon to horizon brighter than the sun.
Right, right. Yeah, horizon to horizon, exactly. So it's not reflecting the light of the sun, right? Um, they say that I forget the number of the spy plane, but there's a spy plane that has a very
The
similar shape to it.
SR-71 or that's
Maybe S-111 or
whatever it is.
yeah,
They can outfit it to look differently. They can shape them. Who knows what technology they have? I mean, they probably have anti-gravitic, for lack of a better word, free energy crafts that can move at super fast speeds
yeah.
that we just don't have access to. That's the secret space program or the secret propulsion program, and they're just using some sort of aircraft to fool people. If you're a glober and that's all you have to prove the globe is the transit of the ISS in front of the sun and moon, that's the only thing that you have, that's pathetic.
I was going to say the same thing. We don't have all the answers. Some of the stuff we have is speculation, but the reason we speculate is because the answers that NASA and scientism gives us is unacceptable. We've looked into them. So we're not simply choosing not to believe something for no reason. There are all these reasons over here. Harness fails, green screen fails, no curvature, things like that have made us doubt the model, actually disprove the model, that is forcing us to speculate on other explanations.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, and by the way, there are other explanations out there. I've had a small experience I was telling you about the other day on this app called TikTok, which if you're not on it, don't get on it. It is brutal. It's like for 12 to 16-year-olds doing stupid stuff. I was trying to put some flat earth propaganda on there, and it's Chinese owned, so the Chinese are now censoring me. And I found out I was being censored. It's very similar to YouTube, but I found out I was being censored because my videos were getting a good amount of views, tens of thousands, 70,000 views, 50,000 views, 60,000 views, and then all of a sudden 500 views, 300 views, 150 views. It's going down and down and down. And I went and looked at a few videos that I had done, and I had hashtagged them all Flat Earth 101. And when I went to look at that hashtag, it said that there were no videos under that hashtag, no views. And when I added up the views on the 9 videos that I had done with that hashtag, there were like 230,000 views. So my views had gone down. They were hiding my hashtags. And then someone said, when you click on the audio of your videos, it says that there's no video that goes along with that audio. Because one of the things that TikTok does is you can, instead of having to use royalty-free music, they have actual artist music on there that allow people to use their music, and it kind of promotes it. So you can click on the audio of a video and see who all has done a video on that. And a lot of mine, I was just using license-free music from YouTube. And so they would click on it, and it would just say no video under that audio. Just crazy.
Yeah, they're hiding the most important secret out there for them to maintain power. And it's crumbling. The globe is finished. The question is, when there's so many new flat earthers out there, so many people coming to it, so many inspiring comments from that I'm getting from these interviews that I've done to these new audiences. And then you got to think there's people that are afraid to say anything. There's people that are just, quietly closet flat earthers outnumber outspoken flat earthers probably 100 to 1.
Yeah, totally agree. And, talk about the TikTok censorship and the YouTube promotion of quote unquote authoritative content. It kind of gets someone a little bit discouraged if they're trying to reach people, which is why the app, like you just said, is such a good tool. Tell us a little bit about kind of how that app can come in handy.
So yeah, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you don't have
from
it,
our sponsors,
yeah,
from our sponsors.
From our sponsors. If you don't have it, it's in the Google Play and the Apple Store. It's a great way to teach yourself about Flat Earth, but when you're talking to Flat Earth with somebody else, you break the app out, you put on the time lapse, you show them the new compass, which shows you how east and west are circles, and there's so much to it. But with the YouTube censorship, I have playlists answering all the common questions, the daily video. It's in like 20 different languages now. I'm getting so many messages. Karen B sent me a message. She said she flat smacked a pilot with the app today, and she was psyched. And a lot of pilots are waking up. I think the pilots are going to tip first, where they're going to maybe form a flat Earth union or something, a secret club.
Awesome.
Hey, and once they've outnumbered, like imagine if 90% of the pilots or 50% of the pilots were awake to flat Earth. They can't.
Got organized.
They got organized. They couldn't ground them all. So, pilots, I know there's a lot of pilots listening to the show. Find other pilots. Join the Flat Earth Friend Finders on Zoom Truth. I don't know if you'll find pilots on there, but zoomtruth.com, Flat Earth Friend Finder. It's inspiring to look at all of the people popping up all over the place. And I'm thinking that this thing is only covering a fraction of 1% of the flat earthers out there.
Totally agree. And if you can gift the app to somebody, that's super helpful. Yet another note from Craig said the app came in handy with a minister today. I had a scheduled meeting with him to discuss the waters above and the waters below and the firmament, and 2 hours of your app later, he's now looking at some Rob Skiba seed planted, he says.
That's awesome. That's great. I got do you have the note that I got
from Chris?
From Chris. It's a long one, but I think it's worth reading.
Okay, here we go. So from Chris says, I never picked up on this flat Earth concept till about 3 weeks ago. I heard people talking if the moon landing was fake, but ignored it. Since high school in the 80s, I never believed, trusted, nor worshipped government and believed what they said, except NASA. Never thought they would be part of the deception. Read lots of books on truth, listened to just about everyone, Limbaugh, Steve Quayle, Infowars, and DITRH. I saw Eddie Bravo, and guess who he brought onto the show but Dave Weiss. I barely listened until I heard Flat Earth. My brain did flips. I wrote the websites you mentioned, and in 3 weeks, I listened to all the Flat Earth podcast, which isn't hard because we don't do many shows, right? Devoured Jeranism, DITRH, Glowbusters, D-Marble, Flat Earth 101, and others. What a ride. I'm heading to Flat Earth belief, but need time to process. Compelling items can see too far, planes flying at 550 miles per hour while Earth is moving faster. What really got me was the flat Earth clock. Wow. Thoughts. Is there a way to hook up high megapixel camera to an infrared telescope near the shore and start moving out to sea slow, capturing the scene while calculating the distance? At every 5-mile marker should indicate that the shoreline is still in the same place on the horizon, yet should be X feet below the curve. Chris.
Yeah, that's actually an experiment that I am set up to do. I just need to get somebody early in the day, and I can use my boat. We could start at a point near our park, and then I have a straight shot down the sound. I can go 20, 30, 40 miles if necessary. I just need a calm, sunny day. I'll bring a mirror where I can do a mirror flash if they can't see me anymore. And I could use the GPS on the boat to show me to prove exactly how far I am. So it's
nice. So where are you located, and how should someone contact you if they want to do that?
I just need somebody to come with me. I'm located in Connecticut. I have one flat earther I found on zoomtruth.com that's in Long Island that's trying to do a land-based spot. But again, these things, you need the weather. You can't plan them in advance. You plan it 12 hours in advance, and then all of a sudden they spray the sky or whatever happens, and
so
you don't have a clear sun.
It needs to be someone close.
Yeah, it needs to be someone close. It needs to be on a moment's notice. It needs to be sunny, no spraying in the sky. It needs to be super calm so we don't have waves. A lot to it. Now we're heading into the winter. I'm not seeing this happening until the spring anyway.
Yeah, the biggest thing is you want the water temperature to be lower than the air temperature, and that's much easier to do kind of in the springtime as things are heating up and the water's heating up slower than the air. That's where you get the least distortion.
Right. I'm noticing now that it's getting colder. When I look down at the New York City skyline, the doubling is insane. The buildings all look taller now than they did over the summer because the mirror line is way higher than the apparent horizon.
Right.
It's fascinating, and I could see how people have been fooled for all of this time, thinking that things are behind the curve.
Yeah, totally amazing. One last point on kind of the censorship and stuff before we move on. I was thinking about I'm getting off TikTok. I'm going to do a little less kind of video stuff. I'm actually going to concentrate on a book that I've wanted to write for a while. But I'm thinking about also maybe starting a company where I help people etch their things into stone so that we can just leave them behind once they burn all the books. What do you think about that?
So you could go to the site and say, "Hey, I want to write X amount of words," and then you'll etch it into stone.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then we can leave it around,
But it's got to
wherever,
exist already. There's people that do that already.
Well, if they don't, maybe I'll start it. I would love if it's already going and I don't have to do it. I've got other ideas I'd like to pursue, but I think it'd be a great idea, right?
I think it's an amazing idea, and we used to laugh. Look at those primitive people. They wrote in stone. Well,
right.
That's
How stupid were they?
They were the smartest ones. It's the only thing that
Right.
lasts. Just on a side note, we see all these incredible stone sculptures. Like, how did they do that? You know how they did it?
How?
It was wood. Now it's stone.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. Let's talk about Mike Williams, who some people may not know. So maybe talk about who Mike Williams is, and I know he's the health ranger, right?
Yeah.
Give a little information on him.
Yeah, Mike Williams. I was a huge fan of him back in my early awakening days. He did anti-vaccine and has a medical lab, and he was just doing lots of good work, and he still does some good work. But Patricia Steer and I had a show called Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, and it was on his radio network. And we started getting deep into Flat Earth, and I think we even had him on, and he canceled our show rapidly after that. But he is so anti-Flat Earth, it's ridiculous. But his latest thing, and I'm going to link this for you guys to listen to. You have to listen to this. My friend Stacy sent it to me and just before the show, and I listened to it, and I don't know if my mind exploded or melted, but he's saying that alien disclosure is coming. They're going to tell us very soon, and this is how we figured it out. NASA is sending a helicopter to Mars. Are you aware of this? When they send the rover, they're also sending a little helicopter drone.
I was not aware.
Well, if they're sending a helicopter drone, therefore there's an atmosphere. And if there's an atmosphere, there's life on Mars. And they've been hiding this from us. Those are his ways to conclude it. And then he goes, well, I know what you guys are saying, flat Earth, and that's going to trigger me. But flat Earth is impossible because people in different hemispheres see different stars. Stab me in the eyes.
Right.
And a sphere is the most logical three-dimensional shape for 3D space, most logical shape for 3D space.
According to Mr. Williams.
Yeah, and then he goes, and how would satellites work, and GPS and satellite radio? The amount of just indoctrinated belief statements are insane. Satellites are have nothing to do with satellite radio. Satellite radio doesn't work offshore. It only works over land. What does that tell you?
And maybe it might have been the video you put on the sponsors put on the app, our communications. Was that on the app recently?
Satellites don't exist in space. That's a great one. Go into the archives and find that one. Or just go into the frequently asked questions and it says, what about satellites?
And the amazing thing that I saw, and it was a video I think where you and Jaron were talking, and talking about how I forget, it was like the Communications Act, like I don't know, or mid 1900s, where I forget the name of the senator who was saying that this was just a gross, basically thievery, that they're basically just the fact that 99% of all communication goes through the seas, right, on the big plugs, basically big wires, and it was just basically a misrepresentation of that.
Totally. It's It's just nonsense. There's so many different balloon programs that are out there's undersea cables, there's high altitude airships, which is called HAA, the HAP, high altitude platforms, the LAV, lighter than air vehicles, the HALE, higher altitude long endurance, the HALO, high altitude long operation. The list goes on and on and on. Stratospheric platform systems, the SPS. There's so many of these things, and people just ignore them. But
I've been to the NASA balloon facility in Palestine, Texas, or Palestine is how they say it there. And I got there kind of the end of summer or maybe end of fall. So they were finished launching there, and the person who I spoke to said that they're now about to head down to Antarctica, start launching balloons down there. So they're constantly launching balloons.
It's probably why the helium is so expensive.
Yeah,
and such a short supply. NASA is the largest helium consumer in the world, supposedly.
Really? That's amazing. Yeah. Well, let's talk about maps and how you can't fit a globe accurately on a map. I was just watching, once again, those clips where the guy from NASA has talked about how it's the globe is photoshopped because it has to be, and it talks about how when you try to lay a sphere onto a flat surface, there's always gaps.
Yeah, so people will look at a map of the world and say, you can't wrap it on a globe. It doesn't work. And we always get accused that the flat Earth map is just a projection of the globe map. But I think the opposite is true. The flat Earth maps have been around longer than the globes. And when you wrap it on a globe, everything gets messed up. Yeah, on some of the flat maps, there's some things that aren't exactly right, but the globe is worse. I was tracking Paige, went over to Prague and back, and I tracked her flight. It did this big arch, which makes no sense. Went over Greenland and then down over Newfoundland and line that up on the AE map or the Gleason's map. Straight line touches the same land points. Bam.
Yeah.
Earth is
they call it the Great Circle Navigation.
It's nonsense. It's the great nonsense, mind stealing, mind gravy. Turn your mind into gravy.
Well, Thanksgiving is coming up, so
yeah.
We already had it here in Canada, but
well, that's fake Thanksgiving.
What's crazy about some of those older flat Earth maps is how different the North Pole looks. We talk about how Antarctica in the south is very interesting, but all those maps used to show land up at the North Pole, and if people kind of around our age would all remember that when we were young that there was places to walk around at the North Pole, right? They even had documentaries of going to the North Pole. Now all maps show that it's just water up there. What's the deal with that?
They don't even talk about the North Pole anymore, whether it's water or not. Just the maps don't show any land. They've brainwashed people to think that the North Pole is freezing cold and desolate and horrible, and you'll lose your fingers and have to eat your dogs when you're there.
Right. Similar to my experience, if you saw my documentary Going to the Edge in Antarctica, I had to eat one of my dogs, but
I'll link that in the show notes.
Yeah, there you go. Started episode 1. But the Bible, talks about the 4 corners of the earth, and I actually think that those 4 corners are at the center. Or it talks about the Garden of Eden, that there were 4 rivers emanating from the center. And if you have 4 rivers emanating from the same place, that creates 4 corners. And John in Revelation talks about the rainbow, or he says that he sees the angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth. And that'd be hard to see if they were on the edges, right? But if they were in the center in the same place, it'd be easy to see them. And then he talks about the emerald rainbow going about the throne, which sounds a lot like the Northern Lights right there at the North Pole. So super fascinating stuff. And then, all those old maps kind of show that. They show 4 little sections with a singular point of water emanating from the center. And, of course, all the stories of Mount Meru, the giant magnetic mountain at the center. It's just super fascinating.
Yeah, super, super fascinating. Back to Mike Williams for a second.
Yeah.
Another thing he said, some people believe in hollow Earth. How would hollow Earth work on a flat Earth? It makes no sense. Actually, I think it makes a lot more sense. If you think about the Great Borehole, they got down 8 miles and they hit an impenetrable barrier. Okay.
Yeah.
What's above us? There's supposedly an impenetrable barrier. You know, the project, what was it, where they blew up the bombs?
Operation Fishbowl.
Operation Fishbowl. So that's that dome is separating the heavens from the earth. Well, maybe there's another dome below the earth separating the earth from hell, or whatever that next layer is.
Absolutely. My opinion is it gets denser and denser, and it's just it's not for our realm, to go into at this point. And that, what was that, Discovery Channel, that guy in the submarine, they were going down underwater and found denser water that they were not able to penetrate into. You know that clip?
Yep, that's a very famous clip. Sure.
Yeah, and that guy died shortly after, by the way.
Oh, did he? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did he accidentally shoot himself in the back of the head 3 times?
Probably, yeah. Probably what happened. But let's talk about the conference coming up in Dallas.
Yeah, so fe2019.com, or what's the main website? The flatearthconference.com?
Flatearthconference.com, I think. Yeah. But you can still get there, fe2019.com.
Right. So the conference is November 14th and 15th, 2019 in Dallas, Texas. All I can say is, if you have any way possible that you can get there and drag a friend, a spouse, a kid, it is worth it. It is a life-changing experience, meeting all people of like minds. And especially if you don't believe the earth is flat, but you want to learn some stuff, go to the conference.
Totally agree. You know who I met at the first conference?
Me.
That's right. Nice.
And how did we meet? Do you remember?
We were working the T-shirt booth, the registration booth.
I think we met in the bar, no?
So you
were standing there all by yourself. You had no friends, and I felt sorry for this guy.
I was not cool back then before I met Dave Weiss, and he told me some of the secrets of the world.
I think we did meet in the T-shirts first, and that's how I was like, hey, we worked in the T-shirts, and we started chatting, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Made the observation that it was Thursday night and no one was watching the football game.
One of my good friends is a biblical flat earther. Who knew?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, pretty crazy. So we were working the T-shirt booth together, which I think is the best job because you get to meet every single person that comes in, right? That's why you go to those things, to meet people.
It's truly amazing. And again, if you can't make it, the live stream, there's going to be live streams from both stages. You can sign up online, and you can interact with people there in the chat. And it's a way to support getting the word out and really become a part of it. So, and again, if you can't handle the $40, eventually the stuff will all be online. There's so much content out there. Don't stress, but if you can go, it's really the experience. I look at it, it's like college. College is nonsense. Okay. It's actually, I don't want to say that. I back that out. You can actually learn stuff here that matters. At college, you don't learn anything that matters, but you have a social experience. You meet like-minded people, hopefully. This is a concentration of people that are awake and aware and open and conscious and are freeing themselves from this enslaved system.
One of my favorite things about going to the conferences is usually everyone brings with them their own stickers and cards and things like that. And it's just flat smack central. Like, not everyone staying at the hotel is part of the Flat Earth Conference, but there is a Flat Earth sticker or card on or behind or on top of or underneath every single movable piece of furniture.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Even last time, Dave got flat smacked by his own voice from someone who put some,
Ghost
Flat Earth podcast. Yeah, right. on a little speaker and stuck it in the elevator.
So people are thinking of different ways to flat smack. If people don't know the story, it's great. You can on Amazon, you can buy these tiny little rechargeable speakers that they're like $2 a piece or something. Like a little mini boombox, and you could load MP3s on it, and he just loads like an episode of the Flat Earth podcast on it, and then he goes into an elevator and tosses it up into the lights on the top. So when you're in the elevator, you think it's elevator music, elevator stuff, and it's talking about flat earth. So I get in the elevator and I'm like, is my phone playing something? And because I hear my own voice. It was fantastic. So creative, so much fun, waking people up. I sent you an email this morning. Guess who's back? Oh, wait, did I lose you? Hold on. I lost Matt. Matt, are you back? All right, we have to record all that again.
No.
Welcome to the Flat Earth Podcast. All right, so we were saying, Matt dropped off. Now we're back. Where were we? We were talking about
the getting flat smacked by your own voice in the elevator.
Yeah, and I had something else I was saying. It was genius, and now it's gone. Oh yeah, I said, guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Again.
Hashtag Save Houston White.
Oh, nice.
So early on, one of our podcasts, we had this little kid that has this podcast. I think he's like 15. Can you hear me all right? Am I losing you?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
I hear you now. We're all good. So we had this kid on and kind of convinced him that the Earth was flat, and we kind of had a lot of
help from Paul Lane.
Yeah, Paul in the plane had him on, and it was all good. He went dormant for a little while, but he put up a teaser for the podcast is back. He has absolutely nothing to talk about. And when I looked at the podcast, the teaser he put out, there was one view, and it was mine. And so I put a comment, Earth is flat, and people started commenting like, hey, do flat Earth stuff. So Houston, if you want to have a successful podcast with your new podcast partner, you got to talk about flat Earth. You'll be the most popular kid ahead of the curve, pun intended. And so I'm going to put a link to the Hex podcast. It's on YouTube. Everybody go there, leave a comment, throw some flat Earth truth down. Let's help this guy find his path on the straight and level.
Yeah, we want to save Houston White. He got in trouble with his mom for cussing, right?
Yeah, his mom was shutting him down, so we started the hashtag Save Houston White.
I think we even have a podcast named after that.
It's very possible. Early on in the single-digit numbers, or double-digit, whatever, near 100.
Too funny. Well, what else about the conference? You and I are going to be doing a deal together.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a live podcast, I guess you can call it, and I have two experiments planned. One with crap ton of helium and balloons. I'm going to create a sky filled with white clouds, and we're gonna show how the sun sets due to perspective. Haven't tested it out. Have no idea if it's going to work. I just think it's going to work, so it'll be a live test. So anybody that's there wants to get up early on Friday morning and help blow up balloons and tie strings on them, come find me.
Yeah, awesome. I think it'll be fun. We'll need volunteers, and I'll be doing a presentation, I believe, on Thursday as well, on some biblical flat Earth stuff, kind of why it matters, and things like that. You know, that question of why does it even matter?
And then the other experiment that I'm going to do demonstration is how we see the sun in different places in the sky. And it's a easy observation. That one's going to be
so good.
Yeah,
it's going to be so good.
And I'm going to leave it up, hopefully, if we can set it up properly, where people can play with it and film it. And I think people can make some videos out of it with both of these setups, the balloon setups. I think people can come up with some creative ways to film it. And I think it'll be super powerful.
And the second one, I think I'm actually more excited about the second one because it really puts some credence to the notion of a personal atmospheric dome that you talk about a lot.
Yeah, at least I can demonstrate that how it works, and it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
You know what I need is a projector, like an old school projector. Actually, yeah. I have a good idea. I got it. I got to figure it out. All right.
Okay.
So much to do. So much to do down there. It's going to be a blast, and looking forward to all the people that I've been talking to that are coming down. I'm finally going to get to meet face to face. As I said on Raw last night, I am going to be emotional when I get down there. I might even cry. I'm going to be so happy to be around awake people because I live in zombie land. There's one guy in my town, and he's coming to the conference with his wife.
Amazing.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Nice.
The flatearthconference.com. Sign up, come down. It's worth it, especially if you're within driving distance. You have no excuse, Stacy.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, why don't we take a break, hear from some friends of ours, and come back and do some speak pipes.
All right. Very good.
Following announcement has been paid for by
The Flat Earth Podcast.
You want to leave a digital voicemail for us? Head over to theflatearthpodcast.com and click on the blue link that reads, "Got a question? Send us a message."
You can do it from your iPhone or from your computer. First time you do it on your cellular phone, you'll have to download a little app. But after that, you can leave us all kinds of messages. If you want to be anonymous, you can make up a name, make up an email address. We don't care. We just want to hear what you have to say.
We'll do our best to play or answer these questions and comments on future episodes right here on the Flat Earth Podcast. Download the SpeakPipe app and check us out at theflatearthpodcast.com.
The Flat Earth Podcast.
If you're watching this audio on YouTube right now and you're not familiar with the world of podcasting, there's a far better way to listen to the Flat Earth Podcast each and every week.
Think of it like your TiVo or your DVR is to your television. You subscribe to whatever show that you like. Whenever a new episode comes out, it records it, downloads it, and notifies you that there's a new episode for easy listening anywhere. Another great feature on most podcast players is you could speed up if you want to hear stuff even faster, or more importantly, it has a jump back and jump forward 30 seconds so you could skip annoying announcements like this.
We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and so many more. If we're not on your favorite podcast app, send us a message and let us know to make sure we will be.
The Flat Earth Podcast.
Folks, Alex Jones here with a quick message regarding fake news and the media that's out there right now. We've been saying for years, that you cannot trust a single mainstream news outlet. None of them. They're all bought and paid for. The global elites have finally gotten what they want. Got their hooks dug into each and every one of those forms of media. That's why I don't even listen. I don't read it. Of course, some of it gets passed across my desk, but I don't read it. I don't listen. You know what I listen to? The only thing that the global elites haven't gotten their hooks in, and that's Dome Life and the Flat Earth Podcast. Both of them incredible podcasts you can get on Spotify, iTunes, all your different various forms. Dome Life, Flat Earth Podcast, the number one podcast out there. And of course, Dome Life is the number one weekly podcast out there. Both of them, real news, truth, so that you can be armed, so we can stick it to the elites. And if you want to stick it to the global elites, you got to stick it to the globe first. All right. I got to take a break before I say something I regret. Folks, head over to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you go for podcasts. Get yourself subscribed to both of them, Dome Life and the Flat Earth Podcast. More after the break. I got to calm down.
Hello, listeners. Donald J. Trump here with tremendous news for everybody. This is so good. You know, I love listening to you guys. We got the Air Force. We got the Space Force. And now I'm announcing, I was just joking, and then we said, what a great idea. We're going to have the Flat Earth Force. Flat Earth Force. This is so important. Tremendous stuff for all mankind. And Dave, I want you're going to be heading up the Department of Domeland Security, going to do such a good job. Matt, too, you're going to be there as well. Melania keeps asking, where's Jay? She loves his voice, you know. I say, honey, it's okay. Jay's gone to China. He's in China right now, but he'll be back soon, I'm sure. The Flat Earth Podcast, making America flat again. China is flat too, right? It's flat. I love you guys. Keep it up. Great job.
Folks, Alex Jones here, just reminding everybody that we've got a huge special on the website on mental force. Right now, you buy 2 bottles, you get 1 for free, and if that's not a deal you can't beat with a stick, I don't know what is. So if you're looking for mental clarity, something to clear the cobwebs, to focus, Mental force is the answer. The other answer, in addition to mental force, is, well, just take a daily dose of the Flat Earth Clock app. You can get it on the iTunes Store, Android. It's available for all phones. Go ahead and install that. And every day, get up, check the video of the day on the Flat Earth Clock app. It's incredible. It's your dose of truth. It helps you think clearly. Between that and the mental force, that will empower you to look into the eyes of the globalists and tell them, hey, no more. We're tired of you trying to take our guns. We're tired of you trying to put poison into our infants. We're tired of you poisoning the water supply. And we're tired of you telling us what shape the world that we live on is. Mental force, buy two, get one free, and the Flat Earth Clock app. Get them both. Think clearly. All right, back with more later.
The Flat Earth Man album is out right now.
Oh, that's just faking everything that you have ever seen.
Do you still believe we went to the moon? Do you still believe what they're telling you? All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage.
Don't believe in gravity.
Ain't no photographs or earth, somebody tell me why.
Welcome to the satellite folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. Don't let them take your mind.
Don't let them take your mind, man.
There's no such thing as outer space. We made it all up. Yeah, space is fake.
Oh, I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. The Flat Earth Man album is out now.
I always wanted to be an astronaut. I'll be in space. At least that's what I thought.
And me and DITR Dearth, the Flat Earth guy, we've been texting. We're doing the stream this week. He's an awesome guy. 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 So that's happening.
All right, welcome back. Great commercials. You know, I heard something from Donald J. Trump in there, as well as someone else's voice. I'm curious, was that Alex Jones?
You know, I was on the Alex Jones show. We didn't really talk about that, did we?
Yeah, amazing. We didn't, no.
Yeah, so I reached his audience, 200 plus stations that went out on, so many messages, so many people that are taking the Flat Earth app challenge said that everyone's saying the same thing. I tell people, watch the video every day for 2 weeks and you'll realize we don't live on a ball. And they all say the same thing. They goes, I couldn't wait. I went into the archive, watched everything in 2 days. Holy crap, the earth is flat.
Nice.
What have you done to me? My family has disowned me.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to some speak pipes.
All right, first one is from Kate.
Hi guys, thank you so much for taking the speak pipes and taking time out of your days and your jobs and your lives and families to do this podcast. I really appreciate it. I know you guys get a lot of flack for not doing it often enough, but I really appreciate the ones that you guys do as often as you can. Okay, so to my question, I guess it's more for Matt, but how do you go about explaining flat Earth to Christians who are curious, but they're only, I guess the only thing that they can say to come against it is, well, isn't it amazing that God is so big and powerful that he can hold it all together and that we don't feel the movement of the earth as it spins these crazy amounts of miles per hour through space? Like, isn't that amazing that God can do that? I mean, I don't know how to break through that specifically with my Christian friends. So any insight would be super helpful. Thanks again.
Yeah, I would just say, yes, that is totally amazing. And if you believe in an all-powerful God, yes, it's possible for him to create the entire universe. And when I thought that's what we lived in, that's what I thought. I was like, wow, God's amazing. He created all this, planets, galaxies, all those things. But I also had the question of why did he create it all if we're the only ones here, And I think it's really important for Christians to understand that, this isn't a salvational issue. That's usually like the big backlash you get at the beginning, but also for them to know that you used to be where they were and that all the objections that they're going to have, you had to go through all those as well, and that every one of their objections is addressable, and that at the end of the tunnel is not something worse, but something better. Like, you are now in a closer relationship with your creator. You're literally closer to them physically. And so just share your story with them of how valuable you think this journey is, and then find your best favorite video that you like to send people and send that to them, because it is so hard to explain to someone the entire thing, especially when they start coming up with objections that you're not necessarily ready for.
Yeah, great answer. If there is a God, he's right above us in the flat earth model with all of his angels, and it makes biblical sense if that's what you believe.
Right.
Okay. It sure makes a heck of a lot of sense. Also, hey, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if somebody asks you for, something and you're going to send them a video, if you have a YouTube channel, make a playlist, put that video on the top of the playlist, click the video, and then send them that URL from the top of the screen. That way, when they watch it, YouTube doesn't get to stick in an anti-propaganda video, and it'll
Totally
go to
agree.
the next video and the next video and next video. It takes a couple extra seconds, but then you'll start growing these great playlists. So when someone asks you the same question again, bam, you have that playlist and you send it to them.
And another reason to have the playlist is it's really hard to go into YouTube and find videos nowadays. And if you have that already in a playlist, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find it.
Owen Benjamin yesterday a couple days ago texted me, hey, what do you have? Send me some mind gravy. And I sent him my blimp video, and I sent him Mitchell from Australia's angular resolution video showing how things disappear from the bottom up. Another epic video. And it blew him away. He did his whole live stream yesterday about those videos, and then showed my sun fade out video too. Loved it. And then he called into Raw yesterday. Did you listen to Raw?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he called into Raw. It was fantastic while he was milking the goats. And also, any Owen Benjamin listeners out there, Owen is performing at the Flat Earth Conference, and for literally the price of a normal ticket to see a comedian, you can get the whole conference included also. Yeah. Come see him and learn about where you live. Next one is from Martin.
Okay. The sun is a big spot with 3 million watts, and about the season, how it's work. Thank you.
Thank God that was short. Was that French?
I don't know.
All right. He's asking how the sun works with the seasons. Is that correct?
I think so, yes.
All right. It's very simple. The sun travels above the flat Earth. It does tight circles in the northern summer, where it's over the inner northern hemiplane lands. And then it takes wider circles and goes farther away from the center to the outer southern hemiplane lands and gives them their summer. It's the closeness of the light that we call the sun that determines the seasons.
Yeah, and a great way to see that is the app.
Yeah, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Great way to learn about flat Earth. Next one is from Samuel.
When the sun's orbit or rotation gets smaller, what is the speed of the sun? And when it gets smaller, how are the days the same length? I mean, 12 hours. When the sun is smaller in rotation, wouldn't that make it a shorter day? Less than 12 hours?
Thanks, Samuel. I think what he's saying is, when he says smaller, I think he's talking about a smaller circle when it's going over the Tropic of Cancer, so it's making a smaller circle. Days are not 12 hours, except for a certain time of the year, on the equinox, supposedly. And so if you, again, look at the app, you'll see how the light works. You'll see why you get 24 hours of sun in the Arctic Circle in Alaska, where you can see the 24-hour sun, because the sun never gets far enough away. And then 6 months later, it's out near the outer southern lands, and they have their longer days. One thing they don't have is 24-hour sun, ever. which would be the case if the Earth was a ball. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, having lived kind of near the 32nd parallel and then now up around the 55th, it is so obvious up here how much longer the sunsets and sunrises are compared to down, say, in Texas, where the sunsets and sunrises are very quick because it is moving faster down there. And the sun during the summer up here is closer and doesn't go as far away. Man, it takes forever for the sun to set.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I think the changes in speed or what get people that don't really understand, that believe in the globe, because I don't want to say that we fully understand, but the sun that we see is not a physical object, so its change in apparent speed isn't an inertia thing. You can just picture that with a flashlight, and you're making circles on the floor, and then just point the flashlight out farther and go at the same speed. And that light on the floor is moving much faster, making a bigger circle, but the speed of the moving flashlight didn't change. It
Correct.
just changed its focal energy.
Hey, Dave, Matt, Silent J. This is Art from Washington. So we're not spinning and rocketing through space. I'm 95% there. We can see too far. I've got my VIP ticket to come down to the Flat Earth Conference in Dallas so I can shake hands with some of you guys and maybe get to that 100% and start spreading truth on my end here. Also, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine recently testified that an asteroid strike is perhaps the Earth's biggest threat. So that's what NASA will be pushing now, is our defense from the so-called space rockets or rocks, whatever, that are going to destroy Earth. That's how they're going to start taking more money from us. And the lies just continue. But looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for all you guys do. I'll only leave one speak pipe this time, and just wait patiently for you guys. All right. Take care. Stay flat.
All right. Thanks for that. Amazing. Coming to the conference. He says he's 95% there.
Yep.
He'll be 100% before the conference. We won't need to push him over the edge, pun intended.
He might be 100% now. I don't know when he left that speak pipe.
Yeah,
so.
It could have been months ago.
He's a patient man.
You know what I love is when they answer their own questions. Just don't say anything. They're just like, they just wake up in real time, and every question they have, they already answer it.
Yeah.
Next one is from Tapis Payne.
I found your podcast through Bart Sabrell's YouTube channel. I just wanted to say thank you for putting together excellent sources of information. I've found this really illuminating and very educational and very open-minded. And I think you guys do a really great job of getting researched and sourced material and the scientific research and methods that are used in the videos. I appreciate the rigor and standards with which they're done and how they approach this question in an open-minded manner. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll continue to do this excellent work. Thank you.
Wow. Another
Very cool.
Great. Really appreciate that. It's speak pipes like that and comments that we get from people that really make all of this worth it.
Absolutely.
Next one is from Josh.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Josh. I'm from Ontario, Canada. And I recently found out about your podcasts or your podcast rather. And I'm about 6 episodes in, and I can't get enough. I'm just watching it over and over and over again, and it's hours and hours of great content. And I really appreciate you putting out all this content for us. And I had a question. I have a question for you. I was wondering if you would ever debate a YouTuber from the name of Simon Dan. So he has, quote unquote, apparently debunked you before in the past, and he's talked about you in the past, and he's extremely obsessed with, again, quote unquote, debunking flat Earth. I was wondering if you would ever debate him. Like, he's extremely obsessed with flat Earth and trying to debunk it. I wonder if you ever do like one live stream with him and debate him, and just kind of shut him up once and for all. I think that would be amazing. Anyways, I really appreciate all the content, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I've heard of a guy named Mandan. I've never watched any of his stuff, but Dave, I have a feeling you know who he is.
I call him Psyop Mandan. Red Pill Philosophy calls him Script Mandan, because he does these casual videos in his office. He it makes it look like it's just off the cuff, but it's highly scripted. He, in my opinion, is a paid disinformation shill, and many people like Marty Leeds, myself, Jaron, dozens of other YouTubers have called him out, trying to get him to do it live. He will never talk to anyone live because he can only read scripts. Every single thing that he has said and done has been completely disproven, and he just he's like the mainstream media. He claims things that none of us claim. That we, he's like, flat earthers say this. No, we don't. He's utter nonsense, and every single one of his videos has been debunked. Check out Red Pill Philosophy's Mandan video. It's the best thumbnail in all of his videos, so it'll be easy to spot because guess who made his thumbnail? Yeah, it's also in the archives on the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app.
Wow.
All right, the next one is from AJ. AJ.
All right, one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, Alex, tell us about your day. What does an average day in the life of Alex Jones look like? Well, first of all, I get up every morning and I hit the throne. I'm very regular, taking care of personal business, if you will. That's thanks due to the Fiber Force that I've been taking every evening. Right now, you can get Fiber Force 20% off on the website. Let me tell you, if you're not regular, you will be after you start taking Fiber Force. But point being is I get in there and I like to do my personal business before my day gets started, because typically the day gets a little stressful. When you're going through stacks and stacks of news and reading about what's happening in this country and the filth that the global elites are pushing on us, I like to get my day started, on a lower stress level. So I sit there and I take care of my business. And while I do that, I pull out my phone and I open up the Flat Earth Clock, the Sun and Moon app. It's available on all app stores, wherever you get your apps from. Google, Android, iPhone store, whatever. But I like to open up the little video of the day. I watch the video while I'm doing my business, and it's incredible. It's got the little sun and the moon going around. Makes it really simple to explain to others exactly how the flat Earth model works, folks. And and it's got the stars. It's got the constellations. The constellations that are going around. I don't really understand it all, but it's there. For those who are interested. But I tell you what, go check it out. It's on the App Store. When we come back from the break, folks, we're going to apologize for watching with us. Stay tuned and go to the website. Check out Fiber Force for 20% off.
Amazing.
Wow. Alex Jones, thanks for calling in. I guess it's because I did a show. He's now a fan.
I guess he's curious. He's curious AJ.
Yeah.
About flat Earth.
That was fantastic. The next one is from John.
Hi, I was just wondering if there was anything new. I've listened to episode 142 a couple of times now, and patiently waiting. I think I got an alert today, notification, but I accidentally cleared. So if there's something new to listen to, I'd really, really appreciate to listen to something new. There it is. Simple as that. I really enjoy your program, your podcast. Thank you for all that you do.
I was waiting. Is it over?
Yeah. Thank
what
God.
a great audience we have. What a great audience. I think it's awesome to be a part of something where people want more of it. Thus, why we can't do more episodes, because you'd get tired of us.
This is true. Next one is from Kev the Researcher.
Nice.
Hey, Dave and Matt. I stumbled across some new research stemming from the FE Clock app. Through your channel, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac channel. You recently posted a 1958 Encyclopedia Britannica, 13,000 feet dome at 80 degrees south in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, I noticed that there was a bay that they mentioned, Daikin Bay. I decided to Google it, and it was also named the Ross Sea. Now, when you look up the Ross Sea in Wikipedia, you see a picture of 12 seas surrounding Antarctica. Go look at it now, take a screen print, do a video, do whatever you can now, because they're going to erase it from us, just like they're erasing our history right now. So some of the seas, I'm not going to name all of them, but Cosmonaut Sea, Cooperation Sea, I thought were pretty interesting. Now, just to be clear, the definition of a sea is smaller than an ocean and typically where land and ocean meet, a partially enclosed by land. Enclosed means surround or close off. So you tells me, what is enclosing what here? Thanks.
Thanks for that, Kev. Yeah, and I did
Wow.
look that up, and if you type in one of those sea names in Antarctica, you get a map, and it's like different seas all the way around it. Like, where does one stop and the next one begin? Cosmonaut Sea, Cooperation Sea, Davis Sea, Mawson Sea. Just, it goes on and on.
It'd be interesting what some of these languages, like the Bellinghausen, I assume maybe that's German. I wonder what that means.
Fascinating. You can look it up. Maybe some people can do some research into it.
Wow. Cool.
Two more. Ruth. The next one is from Ruth. Here we go, Ruth.
Hey, this is Ruth in Nashville. I have two suggestions. I think that when we are arguing with people about being able to see too far, we can see too far. That's one of the reasons why we know the Earth is flat. We need to only use the word visibility when we start discussing atmospheric conditions. How come you can't see the bottom of the ship when it goes out of sight on the water? I think atmospheric conditions is confusing, but people know based on a whole industry, airplanes have good visibility, medium visibility, and bad visibility, but that doesn't mean they can see from New York to Paris on a good visibility day. It's really frustrating when this argument is dismissed so quickly by people who have their PhD in science. Also, I think there needs to be someone who does an experiment, and I'm going to say that Matt, living on that compound in Canada with all those gaggle of kids, should do this in a homeschool assignment. Proportionately speaking, they need to create some big spheres, glue some little things on it, put a camera on it, and see how far you can see something when it continues to drop away. It's really hard to take someone out on the Earth and do it, but why not do an experiment like that in proportion? Maybe we could start out on a CAD machine and get some measurements that way. Just a couple ideas. Appreciate what you do.
Yeah, good suggestions.
Yeah, I like that. Visibility is a simpler way to explain it. I think I've actually used it, but I will make a note to do it more often. All right, and the last one, it looks to be a repeat, and we have a rule, but it's from AJ again.
I don't think we should let him on.
He had me on his show. I reached a lot of people. I think we could...
he invited you down there. Are you going to go down there?
I'm trying. I'm waiting. They're trying to do it. He hasn't stepped forward with it, but his producer told him that I am available and willing to come down. Alex is researching Flat Earth. He's been texting Eddie Bravo saying, oh my God, all the photos of Earth are fake. Oh my God, all the pictures of satellites are fake. Antarctica.
Good.
Yeah, so he's obsessed. The question is, what's he going to do? Will he be allowed to do anything? Is he controlled? I have no idea.
Okay, well then I will make an exception for people that have their own alternative media website.
All right, let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. Another question I get asked all the time. If I had $1 for every time I got asked this question, tell you what, I get asked all the time, Jones, what can we do? How can we do our part in the battle against tyranny, in the fight against these global elitists, these scum, these evil perpetrators of wrongdoing? And I say, you're right. They are evil. They are killing our babies. They are eating our babies, folks. And what I tell them is the one way that you can fight a globalist is you've got to fight the globe itself. And the way you can do that is to head over to whatever your app store is, whether it's iTunes or Google. Not sure all the ones, but you know what I mean. Head over there and download the Flat Earth Clock, the Sun and Moon app. It's absolutely incredible. You'll learn something new on there every day. Just click on the video of the day, and I like to play around with the time-lapse feature where you can see like 3 months worth of the sun and the moon, and I'm still trying to put it all together myself, folks, but I tell you what, it is the truth. And truth is what is going to fight tyranny and these evil scumbags that are eating our babies. All right, I got to take a break before I get too wound up. Go download the app. All right, back later with more.
Guess I'm pretty happy we played that. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, man. If we'd have just deleted that, that would have been a shame.
I couldn't agree more. I agree with Alex Jones. We're partners now.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit speechless.
I'm pretty sure this is our last podcast before the conference. Would you tend to agree?
Probably. We may sneak one in there, but likely it will be our last.
You never know. You were actually hours away from having a substitute host of my friend JQ was going to fill in for me.
Baller.
Baller Dave.
Baller Dave.
I talked about having Baller Dave on, but we dialogued for a little bit, and he pissed me off so much that I was like, "There's no way I'm having that asshat on the show."
That would have been brutal. Well, cool. So another episode in the books. We've got the Flat Earth Conference coming up. Check us out there. You can find me at Woketown on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Dave, where can people find you and the podcast?
I'm right here, theflatearthpodcast.com. Everybody go to theflatearthpodcast.com. Go to the FE artwork if you're coming to the conference and download the book, the picture book, the FE photo book. Onto your iPad, onto your phone. So when you're doing the street activism that we're going to be doing on Wednesday, you could easily pick up those pictures and show people, because a picture is worth 5,000 words.
Great.
I've officially changed that, by the way. It used to be 1,000 words. It's now 5,000 words.
Can you prove that it used to be 1,000 words, or has it always been 5,000?
Maybe I'm Mandela-ing it.
Nice. Well, thanks for being with us. This wraps up another episode. We will talk to you guys soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
But the ultimate and most dangerous test was a huge, specially constructed vacuum chamber.
One mile over we'll see you. 10 true summers will be there laughing too. 24 before my love, you'll see. I'll be there with you. Silhouette will charge the view of distant atmosphere. Cold at morning, driving through the sun and even in the valley. In and around the lake, mountains come out of the sky. They stand there. One mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. Summers will be there laughing too. 24 before my love, you'll see. I'll be there with you. Mountains come out of the sky, they stand there. 24 before my love, I'll be there.